Hello everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of boards, recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Monday edition of Bio, a weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream crafting the deep, which I build right and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. We're playing characters Gottwald, Mock, Salvador, Toro. This stream is not meant for you. It will be full of spoilers, but the rest of you are welcome as always. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server. Invite link into the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/roguewatson. For our campaign, we use roll20.net. For streaming, I use OBS Studio. Talking about Call for the Deep's final dungeon. Specifically now looking at the right side of the map, since we did most of the things on the left side, I believe, at this point. Mac threw open the door to Area 19, which is the water elementals, which I think he was joking about, I'm going to shut the door again. I did have it in my notes that the water elementals were not going to necessarily pursue party members outside of the room, but it does feel a bit goofy to just open a door, aggro monsters, and then shut the door, and then just kind of whistle and walk away, or swim away in this case. So what I'm probably going to do is have him and the water elementals roll initiative, and because the water elementals have that cool ability where they can move into somebody's space and grapple and restrain them within their own bodies, and then drag him back inside. So that'd be a pretty epic thing to do to Mac, and see if anybody notices. Borges, I think, has line of sight still, so he'd be able to shout, help, help, he's being suffocated. Or if he ends up winning initiative, then maybe he'll shut the door and swim away, and then, I don't know, I guess I'll play it by ear, because the interesting thing is that would kind of, depending on what happens, because if they defeat this room, they have to do the fight, then they'll most likely use the southern passage. But if they don't have to fight this battle, but they know there's enemies there, they may instead take the northern passage. So I'm not opposed to either one. I think there's stuff happening in both of them. I guess I was going to put expand on the spell book that they find in Area 19 and have it be like some journal entries from Vestris, who was the Illithid Lich, the Alhoun, that they'll find later. I could technically put that somewhere else, I guess, if I need to. So it'd be kind of a bummer to lose out on that. So I would kind of like to actually force this fight. So in that case, maybe if Mac does shut the door and run away, I guess I could have the water elementals just bust it open and swim through and still try to grab and attack and just make it a fight out there. It's not a big deal. And I could add more, like summon. I have the idea here is that after the first round, a water elemental Myrmidon will actually pop through the portal here, because it's actually like a portal into the I don't know, plane of water, I guess. Is that a thing? I think we're going to almost use the plane of water in this campaign, in fact, at one point. But that's the only enemies I had in there. I guess I could escalate it. What was the original? Let's see. Area 19 is not on this one. Let's see what the initial numbers were here. 2 water elementals in the area. Creatures that move onto the vent take fire damage. The circle can be dispelled. Okay, so taking anything from the bookshelf then causes 3 water elemental Myrmidons to emerge from the vent and attack. I was going to have them summon an attack during the main fight anyway, because I would rather create one kind of cool big fight, especially that's how you really challenge party members at higher level, rather than a bunch of small little fights, especially because players can always abuse the short rest mechanic, I guess, between fights. But that's a lot more than I was going to do. I guess I could do another 2. I mean, fuck it. We could just do another water elemental Myrmidon if we feel the need to challenge them some more, because they really haven't been challenged much, I would argue, so far. They won that statue fight pretty handily, and then Gottwald mostly took damage from that pit trap before. In fact, I think they all took more damage from the pit trap thing than they did from the entire statue boss fight. Wah, wah. Stupid high-level players. Where is, let's see, creatures. I gotta try to find it. Let me just search for water elemental. And just because Gottwald was like so brazen about, like, I was just giggling to myself. You probably noticed it. Just like, really? You're just gonna waltz into that pit and start grabbing shit? Okay. There we go. All right, we've at least got a second one in there. So we'll have the 2 water elementals initially, and then once the fight starts in earnest, we'll have the 2 more Myrmidons, which I don't think anybody here has range attacks, though. Actually, the Myrmidons, I guess, can hurl tridents. As a DM, do you let them just hurl as many tridents as they want, or do you play it pretty strict and be like, no, they have the one trident, which means they get the one ranged attack, which means once they throw that trident, they're just fucked. I would like to play it like, oh, well, of course he's got unlimited throws. That's definitely part of That's the stat block as intended, right? I think that's how it's supposed to work, but I get that rules as realism that maybe it only has the one trident because they're not like people don't carry around multiple tridents for throwing. So room 18 is still gonna be nothing. It's just empty. I was just gonna freak people out with bones and stuff, and some creature is no longer there, and just make them like waste, I don't know, time trying to search around. I'm not interested in doing anything in this room. Which, by the way, it kept saying sea lion, and I looked at the actual image they had for this particular creature, and it is not a sea lion like you and I think. It is a literal, like, a monstrous lion stat block with they can swim, which I thought was pretty funny. I guess that's just a joke animal or something, but I don't have it still doesn't make any sense that this creature ecologically is sitting here surrounded by a nasty trap on one side and like unlimited water elementals on the other. Like there's no way you're getting any food, but the picture here is pretty badass, so I'll show it to you there, but probably not gonna. You know what? Maybe this will be somebody's pet. Maybe I can use it as like Shava's pet or something. That could be interesting. It's got 90 hit points. I don't know if this is straight up a lion stat block. Is that a thing in D&D? Is it a CR5 lion? Let's actually see if this is literally a lion. Because I suspect that's what the designer did here. No, the lion's a CR1. Okay, so I'm not sure what stat block this is then. It's the sea lion stat block. It's definitely stronger than a dire wolf and a bear. Maybe it's an owl bear? Is it the owl bear? Oh, I bet it's owl bear. I'm obsessed with trying to make sure this is... Owl bear is one word. Vote my D&D knowledge license. No, owlbear's got 3. Not as strong. Okay, this sea lion is stronger than an owl bear, except doesn't actually quite have the same attack rolls. Interesting. Still has a leap attack. Okay. We'll try and find a place for the sea lion. The noble sea lion. But not the sea lion like you and I think of when we think of sea lions. In Area 17 was initially a very complex, crazy tentacle statue trap thing. So this time I am going to keep the idea of a trap here, but I'm just going to use Hunger Vidar. I think Hunger Vidar is actually a great spell to use for a trap. As written, it does cold damage whenever you're in the area, and then you can make, and then if you start, when you start your turn in the area, you take cold damage, and then if you end your turn still in the area, you have to make a dex save or take acid damage. So the idea here is this long hallway has been muralized, painted, stylized, whatever, to look like a bunch of like void tentacles and stuff. And I guess I should have it ping off detect magic as well, to be fair. And if you step foot in the middle of by the time you make it to like the middle third of the corridor, because I tried to separate it, like I think it's a slightly bigger area than normal Hunger Vidar is, and you are not loyal to the Kraken or have some kind of Kraken emblem upon you, then it triggers the trap. So if Twirl goes first and makes it through the entire hallway, Twirl will not trigger this trap. And in fact, I may actually reward Twirl as a fun little nod and give him like inspiration or something. It's like, oh, you feel like you're being caressed by the void space of tentacles or something. Like something magical is going on here. And all the others of the party can go like, well, fuck. But if anybody else walks through here and they're not, you know, suited up like a Kraken society, and even if Twirl's still in the area, then that would trigger the trap and he would get hit by just collateral tentacles. Collateral tentacles! I'm going to do it at 5th level also because it needs to be jacked up a little bit. But also I think it's every level you can choose to raise either the cold or acid damage. Oh, you know what? That's a new 2024 rule, isn't it? I think that is the new 2024 rule that it can scale up now. Yeah, okay, that's right. That's a good buff for the Warlock, because Warlock always wants spells that can scale with their auto scaling spell slots. So the new 2024 edition of Hunger of Hadar, with a higher level spell, the cold or acid damage of your choice increases by 1d6 for each spell slot level above 3. So what that tells me is if you cast at 4th level, you can have it do like 3d6 cold, but still do 2d6 acid. But then you cast it at 5th level, you could have both of them be 3d6s, which is how I would run this trap, I think. So it'd be a 5th level Hunger of Hadar spell. As soon as you step into the area, you automatically take 3d6 cold damage, which is not that much for this high level party. But then I kind of have to put everybody in initiative order, because then like movement matters, you know, what you do on your turn matters, because at the end of their turn, if they're still in this zone, then they have to make the dex save for acid damage, which probably is going to be just everything as a DC 15. I think I do respect that the designer put everything at like close to DC 20. Well, actually, no, these are DC 15s right here. Yeah, all three of these are DC 15 stuff. So we'll keep it at DC 15, I think. The actual space is it 55? So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So it's a 60-foot space. So I think nobody should have to take the... Well, although Hunger for Dar is that difficult terrain. It is. That's right. So it would, like, literally all the tentacles would basically come, like, you'd step into it and it'd be this really crazy, trippy, like, hallucinogenic thing of all the walls melting away into the void of space, and then tentacles, like, just smashing into this whole area and all around you, and it would be difficult terrain. So you have to cross 60 feet with difficult terrain, and I think you effectively have the blinded condition. In fact, it says you have the blinded condition. So... I mean, I'm sure they'll dispel it or do something stupid to get around it, but that's my idea for that trap anyway. Hopefully, at least somebody will stumble into it and pull a Gottwald or a Mac and be like, heedlessly forward, which, you know, DMs love those players that just bumble their way through the trap and activate all the things. As long as they don't do it too close together, like one after the other, like open this door, open this door, open this door, but like give me a second to breathe, but then you can definitely stumble on all the things and it'll be fine. Does Twirl have a tentacle speed? Well, again, Twirl's not going to actually trigger the trap, but I will say if he's in the zone, the auto zone, and somebody steps in after him, then it would trigger the trap, and then I think he would have to be subjected to the exact same thing. The best I could do is maybe give him advantage on it because he's used to dealing with tentacles, which I may. But it wouldn't be like he'd be immune to the effect because it is just a big old AoE effect. So that's my idea for the hallway of 17, to try to replicate the fact that it's a trap, but don't want to create anything really super complicated or crazy. On the north side, I mentioned the fact that the Fissure will require like wisdom saves for frightened effect plus psychic damage, and then there are a bunch of, it says there are a bunch of aquatic ghouls in area 14 with all these crypts. But then I found this stat block from Tomb of Beasts 2 called the Zombie Cavefish, which looks like a really hilarious, like, I don't know, kind of derpy zombie fish guy. And it's just a zombie with a swim speed, I guess, which I guess ghoul, it probably is more interesting. So I don't know, I may go back to using a ghoul than these things. I guess you could always use the ghoul stat block with this token. These guys have a lot more hit points, but I realize that doesn't make them more fun to fight against. They're a zombie with a 40-foot swim speed, by the way, which is pretty crazy. So they're not really like lurching. They're like hauling ass at you. Of course, most of my players have really good swim speeds now too. But they still only have the weak-ass like zombie slam attack, which the ghouls attack is pretty weak too. But remember, the ghouls have a chance of paralyzing you. And then, of course, they all have undead fortitude. So it's mainly just a pain in the ass. And there's a lot of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe the original had 6 of them, so I upped it to 8. But they will be able to probably see them coming. Like once you make it off to here, I tested it with some dynamic lighting effects, and you can at least start seeing a couple of them when you make it to like here. So I basically have to roll initiative, and they would have to spend like their first turn just catching up to people. So more than likely they would just get obliterated from a distance, which is probably fine. Hopefully somebody wastes something killing them. In terms of the Royal Crypts on the east side of 14, let's see, what did I have the idea there? So as written, there are 3 that are smashed open and 3 that can be looted, but if you loot them, then you summon a Banshee out of a coffin, which immediately attacks. Inside each of the is a skeleton of an elf adorned with magically protected jewelry and armor. 500 gold per coffin. Attack magic spell reveals the aura, and then breaking open a coffin releases a Banshee, which immediately attacks. Now, I just talked last week about how I'm actually... how I used, like, a giant shark attack as a trap for a penalty for that puzzle system for taking the shark statuette out of the pit. Because one of my initial thoughts was, okay, well, you take it out of the pit, it turns into a giant shark, and you have to fight the giant shark. But combat just, you know, really slows things down every time you use it. So I'm trying to use it more sparingly. I mean, I love combat, don't get me wrong, but like it should be, you know, a worth it fight and not just like a single enemy that we all know is going to go down really quick. And I'm like, the whole point of this fight is just so I can try to get like maybe 1 bite attack off. So I thought, well, let's just trim all that away and just do the fucking bite attack. So just treat it like a one-time thing. And then I've gotten the benefit I wanted from the combat, which is like, oh, maybe I get 1 bite attack off without having to go through the, you know, 15 or 20 minutes of rolling initiative and stuff. So I thought, what if I did that similar thing here? Because the one thing you want to do with a Banshee, of course, is get off their ridiculously broken whale ability, which I am curious to see what the new 2024 book does to this ability. I guess I could always do the corroding touch too, but a +4 is not really going to hit very well. Horrifying Visage is fun, but doesn't actually do anything if they're not in combat, so Whale is the nasty one. So why not, if you open the crypt, instead of summoning a literal Banshee, instead it does effectively summon a Banshee, but it only does its whale attack, and then it's done. Like, it just kind of disappears after that. So it's like the Screaming Banshee or something, and then that's it. So similar to basically how I use the giant shark. So the whale, for those of you, reminding, is a DC 13 con saving throw to everybody within 30 feet that can hear. And on a failure, a creature drops to 0 hit points, which is insanity for a CR4 creature. That literally scales infinity up. Very few creatures can do that. The fact that this thing, I mean, like 120 hit point barbarian is going to feel real fucking bad about... Now, granted, they shouldn't fail a DC 13 con save, but it's crazy. Now, I could change that and change the damage around, and I suspect the new 2024 rules are going to fix that little rider on there. And maybe, at least, I feel like that's one of those effects where, like, it's similar to like a Petrify, where everybody gets like 2 saves, like 1 save, or like a sleep spell. The new sleep spell works like this, where the first save incapacitates you, and the next save actually knocks you unconscious. Or Petrify, the first save restrains you. This is if you fail, and then the second one actually petrifies you. So I feel like this one, like the first one should do blank, and then you have to like roll a second save, and then if you roll that save, then you're basically knocked out. Or literal whale, I know. I thought about that when I said whale. Just do giant shark again. A giant shark comes out of this. He'll be nervous about opening anything ever again. He'll just open a door and be like, nope, giant shark mouth. So I like the idea of the Banshee Whale, but because it's such a bullshit ability as a DM, I could see me changing it where it could still be a lot of hit points. I don't know what the most appropriate one would be. It says, even on a success, a creature takes 3d6 psychic damage, which to me says a failure would be 66 psychic damage, which is not that much. It's an average of like 20 damage. So, I don't know. I'm curious how you all feel about the Banshee Whale coming out. My other idea, because my players really have enjoyed the aspect of rolling on random tables that I've plugged into Roll20, is that whenever they open one of those crypts, which there's only 3 they can open, the other 3 are already destroyed and open, is I create a D4 table, and only on one, like, so open a crypt, okay, you got to roll on this D4, and then only if they roll a 1 do they get the effect of the Banshee popping out and wailing and screaming and freaking everybody out. I guess I could combine multiple effects too. I could do the horrifying again. Well, the frightened edition just doesn't do anything. Disadvantage, but that doesn't last. The Banshees, yeah, it's kind of not. It's more for RP flavor than anything else, because if you're not in combat, then that really doesn't matter. So like a 1 would be the Banshee wail. A 2, my idea is a 2 is just that the contents are empty, which granted it seems kind of lame, but I guess I could do like fewer amounts of loot on there. The 3 was going to be the original loot mentioned in the adventure, which was like 500 gold pieces worth of stuff, which now that I think about it sounds kind of a lot. And then I had to do like, well, the 4th one's got to be something really good then. But I didn't necessarily want to throw just a piece of treasure in there on a random loot table, unless somebody has a good idea for one. But again, I'm actually getting kind of gun shy about giving them, and they just got some treasure, which they haven't actually seen yet from completing that puzzle up there. So I'm a little gun shy about just throwing more and more treasure at them. So my idea was just to let them roll basically for potions and scrolls that they found. Like basically instead of a skeleton, you find like somebody's bug out bag that has a bunch of stuff, and I can make a joke about it, how it's like labeled for emergency use or something. I mean, potions are still pretty damn good, right? So you could end up looting all 3 and never actually encountering the Banshee Wail, which is fun because they wouldn't even know what's on that table. So, but because they're rolling on a random table, I think that would also encourage them to open all 3 of the sarcophagi or coffins or whatever. Obviously, if they roll the bug out bag, that would only be a 1 roll, so you have to roll again if you get that one. And then the Banshee Wail, I would actually, if they trigger the Banshee Wail, I would then let them roll again on that same coffin to see what's actually inside. The Banshee Wail is just you have a 25% chance of actually triggering that as a trap. And you would have a chance of triggering that trap every time you open one of the coffins. You'd have a 25% chance on each of those 3 coffins. But then after you make that roll, then you've got a 33% chance to either find it be empty or with a lot of treasure, gold treasure, or a bunch of like potions and scrolls. But then once you find that potion and scroll one, then it just becomes a 50% empty or some gold. I may change that empty one to just minor, just less treasure, I guess. Maybe you find like some kind of random art object that's worth like, I don't know, 50 gold or something. Maybe I'll divide the other 2 up. Maybe the other one is like a 250 gold piece loot, and the other one's like a 100 gold piece loot or something. Hopefully it's still worth doing some grave robbing, but that's my idea for the crypts up there, which again, we could easily skip. We could easily skip all of this. Unfortunately, we ended before I quite know which path my players were taking, so I'm still kind of having to prep both paths. And I'm assuming once we go down one of these paths, I don't think they're going to go back into another one. The only exception being is if they take the top path, they kind of have to get very close to the bottom path to go where they need to go, which is the down to room 10. Actually, now that I look at it, if they take the lower path, they could skip a lot of this right side. Because 19 goes to 18, goes to 17, goes to 16, and 16 just, you can take the stairs right down to room 10, and then 10 goes downstairs to where the lower half is with Vestris and everybody, so they can actually skip a lot of the Shava stuff. But then I had an idea, like, well, I wanted to like kind of introduce this whole Shava character thing and make her more of a maybe major boss in this area, since they're not actually fighting the Lich boss. That's kind of a little twist. So perhaps when they're actually making it to this side, so they're either crossing, I basically need some kind of triggering thing where, like, if they make it to probably this door here, or maybe this door, somewhere in the hallway of 17 where it doesn't not associate with the trap, and then somewhere when they're crossing the fissure to either go to 2 or 14, I'll probably reintroduce Zelix 4 doing his villain check-in thing, because he's this omnipresent presence that can just jack with the players whenever he wants, and perhaps reflect that he's been weakened now because I've taken out 2 of those augmenter brains, so perhaps he's a little more desperate. but he can have this little villain monologue where he's broadcasting a warning, and he'll basically address Shava directly and say, hey, there's these meddlesome, warriors, adventurers, whatever, are crossing into your domain. They are increasingly problematic. They need to be assimilated or destroyed. And then go off on maybe a small little tangent about how, like, I've resurrected you to be this, for, I don't know, whatever. Like, tease I haven't written all that dialogue yet, but tease a little bit of her backstory without the players. It's almost like them overhearing a conversation, basically, which is something that's also really difficult to set up in a non-scripted D&D game. So I'll try to get that exposition through, and that's also a video game tool, right? Like a lot of video games, modern ones, don't use actually a whole lot of cinematics as they do like a lot of audio journals, right? They don't like stop the player. They just have things playing and have, a person in your ear is talking or whatever while you're doing the thing. So they like, as a DM, that's something I can try to borrow from for sure. And what that means is that that's basically the big bad boss telling this mini boss that the heroes are coming and you need to prepare. So we could immediately start sending out patrols to come at the party, and then the party knows, like, well, shit, like, we're coming in and we're all of a sudden gonna get friggin' attacked already. So there's already a setup of warriors here in room 15, which is labeled the Marrow Guard Room. Chamber is guarded by 4 Marrow and a Sahuagin Priestess. And there are stairs that lead up to Area C in the ruins of Ascarle, too, if they wanted to pop up there and see where the Kraken is swimming around. Which I may be able to tease that. I don't think the Kraken want to adventure down here necessarily, even though it is all water. I don't think it'd really be able to fit because I got rid of the one hole access that it had. I don't think there's another one in this corner now that I'm looking at it. So these 2 staircases might be the 2 rightmost ones. The one that goes off 1 and the one that goes off 15 here. The Legacy of the Horadrim. Man, I never finished the Diablo expansion. My wife and I were playing through. Only got about halfway, and then we started doing a lot of the seasonal content, and then something else came out that we started playing. So we got sidetracked. Still need to finish it. I've not necessarily heard good things about the Diablo 4 expansion, though. I like playing that new class, though. Kind of the Diablo 4's version of the monk, I guess. So it's another 4 Marrow. I guess I only had 3 in here. This Marrow are kind of hard to fit, but I figure that can be the nice... I mentioned there was a good shock troop stat block to send at the party as minions. Sahuagin Priestess is not that. We might need to up her hit points a little bit. Maybe make her like one of the Sahuagin Illithid things, but a spellcaster version. I don't remember how many hit. No, because it doesn't have a lot of hit points either. I think those are just normal Sahuagin. There's a Baron out here, which... I should use the Baron... Should Java be using different kind of monsters? I don't know if she's... I guess she's the only actual... Her and Vestress, I guess. Well, Vestress is a Mind Flayer undead, so she's the only actual, like, undead of the elves that's here. She doesn't have her own, like, retinue or anything. It's kind of disappointing. I wonder if we can work with that. I'm okay with using the Marrow well, I mean, the problem with using the undead is that they would still be inhibited by the underwater combat rules versus all the sea creatures would not be. So I guess that's the trick to keeping up with the party, is I have to actually use all the sea creatures. So if they come obviously into room 16, we can immediately attack them with the guards in room 15, which are all the Marrow and the Sahuagin Priestess. If they come into the top area, then we may have to just add creatures up here. So I don't think... We took out the Vodnoi from room 2. I think there's nobody else. Yeah, Sarkothel's a permanent Arcane Iron alarm spell in this room, so he'll be able to track them, which is kind of what I mentioned in terms of that doing that broadcasting thing. Let's see what our creatures are up here. Room 4 has a swarm of crustaceans being fed by 4 Sawagan. That seems pretty useless. And 5 is just a Sawagan Baron. 6 is Shava. 7 is the treasure. 8 is a skull that we can use to cast Speak with Dead spell once per day. Hey, it's the early treasure from Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so why don't we put more marrow or Sawagan things up here as well? What is room 3 supposed to be? A robing room. Okay, we'll put some people in there. With the caveat that I'm either probably going to use one force or the other, I guess. Well, I say that, but if they come in the top... Honestly, if they go the top side, they're going to end up doing a lot more of this area, because they'll just aggro a lot more things. And they'll basically have to fight through this guard room in 15 to make it downstairs. So, unbeknownst to them, the bottom route is actually way faster and more efficient at getting where they need to go. But they don't necessarily know that. Yeah, that's true. Those fancy sea zombies. So that's... In the original, it said that there were just sea ghouls, which were just ghouls with the swim speed. Which might not be a bad choice for a minion, necessarily. And that's the thing, is you could just, like, I could give any creature a swim speed, so it's not affected by, you know, the underwater combat rules anymore. I wonder why this one isn't the sexy kind of Baron. Sexy Baron that's used in... what is it, the Illithid layer parts? Yeah, the Sawagan Baron Thralls that wear Mind Carapace Plate Mail and Mind Blade Greatsword. Whereas the other one is just, this dude's a regular Sawagan Baron that's guarding her. Or maybe it should be Undead that's helping to guard Shava. Oh, it does say it wields a net and a vicious trident. Huh. We could put the Baron, like, up here and leading a force with the Marrow. The bad thing is this hallway is actually really shitty for a bunch of melee attackers. I guess that works for the party, too, but it kind of works in the party's advantage because they have a lot of range attackers, too. The Marrow do have a ranged attack that's not too bad. Range 20. Actually, they deal just as much damage with their harpoon. So that's good to know. Priestess can be a ranged attacker also. I guess it's just the Baron that is melee. Unless he starts hucking those tridents. Could throw some sharks in here too. That's always fun. So Shava will be aware then when the party make it here, either to room 2, room 14, or room 17. Shava will be aware that they're making it into their domain, and the party may feel like, oh, well, they don't know exactly where we are, but then, I don't know, I could always use DM bullshit rules about how Slarkarthel can actually pinpoint the party, and Zelix 4 controls Slarkarthel still, mostly. Or just the fact that there's enemies, like, patrolling all the hallways now, so they'll have to deal with that. Set these guys up. Like so. There's more Swagan. And then room 9 had what? Two Swagan Raiders and a Merfolk Conjurer. If you damage or remove a ruby, you summon a Yoklol in its true form next to the statue. It's a Conjurer stat block. Oh my gosh, just a bunch of spells. It's actually a good way of making another, like, Sawagan type. Is just, hey, you're a Sawagan, like, whatever spellcaster. Evoker or Conjurer or something. Fireball is not the most useful spell underwater, but Cloud Kill is, Everett's Black Tentacles is, High-powered magic missiles are actually just really useful against player characters. Fuck your high AC. Fuck your high saves. I cast magic missile at 5th level every round. Well, at least one round. Then it's at 4th level. A little bit of damage, but that's the name of the game, is doing a little bit of damage over the course of a long time. Put some of these raiders. 2 raiders feeding some crabs up here. I guess that's like their food source. God, there's another treasure vault in room 7. Oh my gosh, so much treasure. So much treasure. I just don't want to give him any of that. I cast shield. Yeah. Has that... I mean, I can't even recall any specific instance where... I mean, I'm sure it's happened. It's probably happened a couple times. But where either me or a party member cast magic missile and it actually was deflected by shield. I know my party always takes shield, but I feel like they would rather like save the shield for bigger attacks than magic missiles. That's the key. That's the key right there, is when you cast magic missile, put like 1 missile at each party member. So then the wizard's like, I don't really want to shield like 1 fucking missile. But then you do it to him over the course of like 3 rounds. Gotta divide that shit up. Yeah, I gotta reduce this horde, I'm afraid. Sorry, Shava. It's too much treasure. Also, repeating treasure. Elven Chain and Slippers of Spider Climbing are things the players are both... They're about to get Elven Chain, and they've already had Slippers of Spider Climbing. So, I guess I can go back to the book and see like what other like single interesting... Because I guess every horde should have some kind of magic item for them. And this kind of represents the other boss fight of this area. So I need to put something here, but... I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. I feel like they're attuned to really good stuff. They've all got signature weapons. I don't know what else. What else? I guess it doesn't have to be stuff that's attunable necessarily, but that's always the best shit too. Room 10 doesn't have anything going on, right? The room is lit by a perpetual dancing light spell. It's kind of random. Stairs lead down to Area 71. The room is overlooked by Area 9. Oh, really? So you can actually see Area 10 from 9? This area and Area 10 below is guarded by 2 Sawagan Raiders and a Merfolk Conjurer. Huh. So this is like a balcony? Well, that's important information. I didn't know that. Because the artist used kind of the same... Well, I guess... Okay, there's like pillars here. Yeah, I guess I missed that part. Okay, so we need to redo this like a window. I'm glad I read that twice, because I did not notice. Oh, fun fact, I never did the dynamic lighting in here either. Man. This is going to be their exit point most likely, although who knows, maybe they'll end up going upstairs into the ruins and then having a crazy escape chase sequence with the Kraken. That would definitely be how I would script things if I were scripting it. Gosh, this keeps going down. There should be some kind of fun chasing. But you can't... The thing is, you can't ever force players to run away. They don't like doing that. Failure is not an option. Draw on some lines. Man, remember all the time we had to, like, make maps together? Like, layer in some artwork and shit? Ugh. So thankful we're back to, like... just using the built-in maps. All right, why did I do it like that? Just cut it off right here, dude. There. Okay, so then we're going to use the window feature already opened, I guess. So that way it technically blocks... Actually, if it's open, I don't think it blocks a damn thing. But, I don't know. It's some kind of delineation. That's actually pretty helpful. So the window just looks like a thing, but like the party can still see through it instantly. So it doesn't block line of sight. And then if it's open, it works like a door. You can just waltz through it. So that's what makes the most sense to me. Okay, so I should put some more guards in that room then. Split the difference here. Because I'm reducing a lot of combat in other places, so I guess I'm reducing the frequency of combat, but I'd like to balance that by increasing the power of the combat that is here, that I am using. I did say there was a conjurer, so I might use one of those spellcastery stat blocks. I don't know if conjurer is the best one. Or I could use like one of those Swagathid thrall things too. I guess would they be in here? These guys like pre-ceramorphosized. Because they did run away from them earlier, so does Shava have her own shock troops? Which, yeah, maybe they're not actually Mind Flayer. Maybe they're just in service to the Kraken for now. I do feel like I should probably use something stronger than the Swagan Priestess. Although, I mean, like a 3rd level Guiding Bolt's still good. Hold Person's still good. I guess it's the DC that's really low, though. So what is the... What would be the equivalent of a high-level Cleric stat block? Is that something that exists? This Priest is only like CR2, right? Yeah. In fact, the Swagan Priest is effectively the same thing as the Priest. So the next step up from that is what? Oh yeah, there's a Kraken Priest. Well, Kraken Priest is a completely different stat block though, isn't it? Yeah, it's just Call Lightning and Everard's Black Tentacles. It's all damage spells. Like, it's almost more interesting if you have somebody in the backline that's more like support, crowd control spells versus just direct damage. But you could always take like a Sawagan or something and just use that token and everything, but have them have the Kraken Priest powers. Maybe without the voice of the Kraken part of it. I don't know. But a War Priest from Valos. Oh boy. Okay. CR9. AC 18 of plate man, 117 hit points. 9th level spellcaster, DC 15 plus 7 hit with spell attacks. Now we're talking. It's too bad there's not something quite in the middle of those two. And like, I don't need over 100 hit points. I need something between a priest and a war priest. They go from CR2 to CR9. If I could like have this stat block, I think it'd be perfect. Like give him like 50 some hit points, 50 or 60 hit points. In fact, just double what the priest is, do like 60 hit points. Maybe not quite 5th level spells, but shit like, what do you have? Spiritual weapon you still have, guiding bolts. Dispel magic is good for enemies to have. Spirit guardian's a pain in the ass. But mainly using the better spell save to hit DC and hitting with spell attack. So I might use inspiration from War Priest and kind of create a scaled up version of the Sawagan Priestess. So she's got some more heft behind her spells. Wouldn't really need to change much, because I mean, if you're just going to still use guiding, I mean, guiding bolt still scales really well for a single target attack. Make sure she has Dispel Magic. Spirit Guardians would be amazing to turn on. I don't, well, if we don't use 2024 rules, it's really good. So you can just turn that on without even, is that the one that doesn't work with concentration? Maybe I'm thinking of Spiritual Weapon, which she also has. But don't give her the high-ass AC, because I don't think that makes sense for underwater creatures. But what does she have default? A 12. Yeah, so something in the middle of that. Marrows only have a 13. Jeez. Underwater creatures are not known for their high armor class, are they? It's okay. We can work with that. So what if we take this stat block? We could probably just edit it directly because we're no longer going to use a low-level priestess, but just in case, let's duplicate you. What's the Storm Priest like? Oh, yeah, for Monster Manual Expanded. Is a CR4. 65 hit points, 15 AC. That's all really good. Spell save DC 13, plus 5 hit with spell attacks. And just has, kind of uses the modern, like, non-spell slots, but just a certain amount of times per day. Banishment, Ice Storm, Call Lightning, Gust of Wind, Thunder Wave. These are all very tricky spells to use underwater, I might add. Well, Banishment's not, but, you know. Stat block wise, though, it's close to what I was wanting for hit points and armor class for sure. I think the spell save DC is actually all that much better. It's only, I think, one more better than what she's got. What is she at? 12 and a +4. That's exactly what she is. So if we take, see you and make you a Sahuagin War Priestess. How about that? Copy off the War Priest. Then we will edit that to say War. Let's see, what is the... There's a lot more strength than I want you to have, though. Both these stat blocks have a 16 strength. That's definitely more than I want her to have. 10, 11. She's got 11 dex. Let's give her more dex. Let's give her 12 dex at least. Constitution. We'll up that to 14. Intelligence can stay. Wisdom needs to be at least a +3, right? Yep. So let's give you a 16. And then Charisma can stay. I don't know what the hell CR this would be at this point. Like a 5 maybe. So then if we have those stats, what does it actually do to your spells? So does it show up correctly? Does not show up at all. Let's see. Spell save now says DC 14. So that's pretty good. It went up by 2 just for me upping the stat block. Let's see if it did the... What it does for damage. Now it says a +6, which is bigger than its +4. That's also good. It's not quite as big as the... So it's just under what the War Priest is. I still rolled a 7, of course. God damn it. War Priestess. If I actually clicked on this, I need to update this then to reflect it because it's not going to automatically change. So 6. Actually, that's the only thing that changes. So damage is the same if you're doing it at a first level spell slot. Otherwise, you can actually cast. Or weird, it doesn't actually ask. Oh, I've critted. Damn it. I'm gonna waste those. It's not actually asking me if I want to use a higher level spell slot. Hmm. So if I cast Guiding Bolt, like, I would surely burn it like level 3. But I guess I could click that. Oh, okay. Now it says what level. Interesting. So if you do the damage. Okay, then you choose what level you want it to do at. Interesting. Ooh, a level 3 and a crit. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Lovely. Just lovely. Hide all those from the world. Never happened. Okay, so the only thing I have to change is then just to give you some more spells, I guess, because I don't think she would actually use any other auto. I mean, she's got Sacred Flame. Oh, no, she doesn't have Sacred Flame. I mean, whatever. You just use Guiding Bolt to return. I don't give a shit. You're not going to be saving those spell slots. Hold Person, Spiritual Weapon. What else? Spirit Guardian, Dispel Magic. Let's do... Spell Magic is huge. Warlocks hate this one trick. Don't think I'd give her Banishment, though. Spirit Guardians might be fun. Don't think. Let's see. Divine Favors. Probably not going to be worth casting. Shield of Faith, like maybe worth concentration. Especially if Spirit Guardians is... No, Spirit Guardians is concentration. Okay, what was I thinking then? I guess it's Spiritual Weapon that doesn't... That's gotta be the best use of concentration then. Spirit Guardian's such a pain in the ass. Bless could be a pain too if she's got a lot of minions. Leave them in the chat just to make players sweat a bit. That's funny. Be like, what is this creature? What are you doing here? Maybe I'll leave the ones that say all spell slots expended. Come testing shit out. It'd be really fun if you just left the damage. Like you got rid of everything else, but just left the damage on there, and the player's like, what the fuck is that? Beware. All right. Well, that's slightly up. Oh, and then I changed their hit points and their armor class. Let's give them 15 AC, and let's just up the hit points by double, I think, ish. So what did I just do? 12d8 plus 6. So that is... Doesn't really make any sense, but if a d8 is a 4.5 average, 4.5 times 12 is 54, plus 6 is 60. Exactly what I was looking for. So an average of 60 hit points for our Swagan War Priestess. So let's make sure you actually are tied to that stat block. And then we go NPC AC. We go 60 hit points. Okay, so now we need to take you, copy you, and paste you around so we can use your stat block a little bit more, and I think that'll work out just fine as the spellcaster for some of these encounters. So we're kind of creating 3 main pods of these minions of Shava, I guess, which is in room 15, in room 9, and then I just sort of created one somewhere in the nebulous, like, northeast part of this dungeon. They'll probably start in room 3. By the time they get the announcement, they'll start patrolling, so they're basically here for when the party either opens the door for room 1 or opens the long hallway from 14. In fact, I may have the enemies actually open this door here if they get to the crypt and start coming through here. I could see that happening, like the Baron right here, just opening the door and then introducing these minions down here as kind of a battle. And I wonder if Shava could actually be at like the rear of some of these battles, but pull back at the end. As a Deathlock, she would work best at range. I think I mentioned before about trying to do maybe some kind of disguised self shenanigans with her, but I think she would probably be too proud for that. She's got invisibility, so she can escape a fight and Dimension Door. So both those things tell me I should be using her and she should be escaping. So that'll be a fun thing. Maybe I'll have an encounter first with her, either on the north or south side as like their first skirmish coming in. But then she will escape that fight and then maybe gather like another pod of minions and then have like a last stand at that point. You don't want to overuse it necessarily, but I think it would be nice to probably use her multiple times. And her auto attack's actually pretty good. The Grave Bolts, +6 to hit with 48 necrotic damage and a chance to restrain them. But she also has like Hold Monster, Counterspell, Crown of Magnus. Actually, Blight. Blight is fabulous. Is she considered a warlock? No, just 10th level spellcaster. Does finish the spell slots. Oh yeah, 2 5th level spell slots. That's what she's got. So it's just Roll20 did not have that show up correctly. Oh, interesting. I can't actually delete the spells. That's why it's like default to like wizard stuff. That's funky. Can't actually specifically tell them only the 5th level spell slots. Very interesting. But yeah, Blight for single target damage, I don't think it's better than that. 8d8 necrotic damage, and it would be cast at 5th level, so it'd be 9d8 necrotic damage. Which looks like that. 43 damage. That's pretty good. That's pretty good damage. Not the best save, though. Man, for a CR8, the save is only 14? Come on, man. That's like a level 3 PC. Has a 14 save. Oh, Wizards. I really want you to... I really want that new monster manual, man. Do not disappoint me. All your freaking PCs got big buffs. Big buffs in 2024. And I expect the monsters to get the same damn treatment. Make it happen. All right, I think that's going to do it for this Monday edition of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoyed the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/Rogue Watson. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Dan, Brandon, Zenith, Eclectic Roleplay Roll, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F., John L., Nathan, Crystal Lake, Counselor, Andrew, The Reldron, Stephanie, Jason, Amant, Lumpy Spuds, Warden, Harold, Unimonia, LLC, Tom, The Eating the Dogs, Caleb, Marcus, Snuggy, Jamie, and Hugo. And gold patrons, RBG Papercraft, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, The Lizard Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Fasca, Torres, Scott Ruffus, Jerry, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you with another crafting stream on Thursday.